Hi, I'm Rod Smith from Awabakal, and today we are doing our first Awabakal podcast for the year. And what a podcast it's going to be. I am honoured and privileged to have two of Knights legends, Mr. Leo Dynevor and Brett Grogan. And I've wanted to do this for a long time. I've wanted to reminisce. As a big Knights fan, born and bred Newcastle, I've wanted to chat about the 97 grand final year. So on my left, and just to say, just on my left, I am with the one and only, the man that with the hands, the man that you wouldn't thought was fast, but he could move, Mr. Leo Dynevor. How are you, brother?
Good morning. I'm well, thanks. How you going?
I'm going good. And on the right, man, it probably doesn't need no introduction, but I'll give him one, Mr. Brett Grogan. How are you, brother?
Good, brother. Good. Morning to everyone.
Yes, thank you. This is a night podcast, but we'll edit that out. No, that's a joke. We don't know if this is night or day. Brothers, look, as I said, you know, it's been, so this year, I think it's 25 years.
Yeah.
Since 97. I know that's only, you know, the comp wouldn't have started by now, but 97 to 22. It's just 25 years. Does it feel like it 25 years ago?
Yeah, it does. Look, it's funny, actually. We sit back and think, where'd those years go? All of us all sit back then, how we were. So, no, it's been an amazing journey for myself. It's been a lot of travelling, but I'm back and 25 years down the track. Thing about Newcastle, it's changed as so many ways.
Brett, yourself, 25 years, when I say that to you, it's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
To think the type of man you was, the type of life you were living, how does it feel now?
Oh, you can't keep age at bay, but friends are always there and everything else. I haven't left Newcastle, so I still get the odd comments and everyone congratulating us down the street because, you know, regular, Hamilton and whatnot. So people, I think that era and that game itself just put, you know, us on the map and then also the community, because it was a community year sort of thing. So they all remember, and you can still see the shirt. So, you know, young people these days and my little fellas, when people come up and say hello, it just, you know, it just makes you feel special, I guess. And it's those many years later, it's still happening, which is kind of freaky, but it's good.
The reason I wanted to get you on the podcast today was, as I said, 25 years on, watching it on TV as a spectator. You know, I still get goosebumps when I watch old YouTube clips. But I wanted to talk about the Indigenous flavour, the blackfella flavour, because there was yourselves, Owen Craigie, Robbie O,
Jason Moody.
and Jason Moody. Was there anyone else?
In the top grade? That was in the top grade, but we had close to 20 all the way through the grades. It was, well, I don't know if you want to say flavour through the club, but Big Mob was here. So it was one of those 2 years probably that we accumulated those number of players and Mob. In those days, Knights had the first dibs at the West, and all the talent come out of the West and just up north as well. So it's sort of skewed away from it at the moment, but hopefully we can get it back. Very special.
I'll start with you, Leo. Do you want to, where are you from? So you're obviously Queenslander? Proud Queenslander?
Very proud Queenslander. But yeah, I'm from an Aboriginal community called Cherbourg. It's about 3 hours northwest of Brisbane. Family's still there. One of 11 kids.
11?
Got about
what
6.
Number?
Number 7, I am.
That's around that
Appropriate.
spoilt bracket, is it?
Nah, the one in the middle that controls everything. Controls both sides.
Hey, makes sense that you're half back, yes.
That makes
So
sense.
in the middle is pretty good, but look, you obviously learn from your older siblings and you're trying to guide that to the younger ones. I've got about 60 nieces and nephews that live there and just met in our family, our bloodline. It's I'm a great grandfather, and I just met him last night on a voice call. Yeah, so it was nice. Yeah, coming from Queensland. proud Queenslander, come to Newcastle, and obviously known of Brett and also Owie in that time. It was really nice to be part of.
Cherbourg, for those who don't know much about it, how big of a town or a community? Is it a community or a town?
It's an Aboriginal community, about 2,000 people. Yeah, biggest in Queensland and the best in Queensland. So we've had these wonderful conversations over the years with Brett coming from up far north. So
Or Papua New Guinea?
yeah, not that.
This fella.
But you could sort of pick that in his way that he looks. But
Yeah.
But no, it's great to be part of, and at that time feeling comfortable coming here with fellow Queenslanders and Murray fellas and Crew fellas.
So when did you actually leave Cherbourg?
When did I? 92, I left Cherbourg.
And it was
93, I ended up going to Brisbane to play footy there. At the Broncos.
Under the Broncos. How old was you then?
18.
18. How did that feel, like being 18 and coming from Cherbourg? Because I know even a lot of blackfellas who come just from country New South Wales, when they come to Newcastle, struggle with the change because, you know, if anyone's been to small communities out west and that, you're just closer, it's more, everyone knows everyone, and then coming into a bigger town and city, it's just too much of a change for them. How did you handle that?
When I was 5, I said to my family, I'm going to leave you. I didn't know how or when, but I had this, I guess, mindset as an early age that I'm going to go do something for myself. Travelling around from Western Queensland to Cherbourg, an environment that I grew up in wasn't the ideal.
Yeah.
So the escape and opportunity to get away was obviously rugby league and to go to the big smoke, which is Brisbane. I was welcomed and I got the chance to go and I just left.
All right, I'll come back because I don't want to get too much into the footy yet. Brett, yourself, another Queenslander, North Queensland. Where are you from?
Cairns. So half of the community or my mob is from Yarrabah, mum's side. So that's Goganji mob, and then dad's up tablelands of Cairns, Jabberkai, but originally Coogee mob up in Cooktown, Hopevale area. So strong communities. Cairns is a particular place, very hot as we know, but I knew I was leaving early.
Muggy,
yeah, true. I knew I was leaving early. I'm 11 years old. I was going, and then my favourite team got in the comp in '88. I had to settle the deal, and I knew I was coming to Newcastle for sure. I've sort of a Newcastle fan since they came in. So,
and you're the youngest, aren't you? Youngest of
5. So 4 older sisters. A very sport, you might say. Very knowledgeable family as well. So 2 of the eldest ones actually stay up north, and myself and Adele and Robin live in Brisbane, and Adele lives here in Newcastle. So me and Adele have been here the longest since the end of '93.
So while I'm still chatting, tell me about your footy career as a junior, you know, and when did you start? Obviously, you guys made rep teams and that, and then tell us up until the point you came to Newcastle.
First of all, I wasn't allowed to play till 15.
You didn't play footy till you were 15?
Yeah, no. Wendell Saylor and Butch Fat Nana, a few other players, we're all Seventh-day Adventists, and we go to church on Saturdays. So Dad cracked after thousands of tries that you can go to church and then you can play footy on a Saturday afternoon. So that's the way it was, and 15s.
And how old was Wendell at that time?
Yeah, Wendell's younger. We used to see each other at church camps during the year, at least 2-3 times a year, and cause havoc at those camps. So the thing is,
did you play any touch footy, or did you play school footy?
Touch footy and athletics. Touch footy in school and outside, because the whole family was into the game. Haylene, Chicky, Sharon, all them, they're all Queensland reps. Debbie and all that, and you know, my sisters played, and then all my cousins played. They were all Queensland reps as well. So touch was in it. Then athletics was the biggest thing in school for me. That allowed me to travel to Fiji, America, and in the junior sides and whatnot. And you know, eventually had to make a choice. So 91 in year 12, it's athletics or rugby league. I remember playing
So
Last
when you
game
say
right
athletics, obviously,
Australian junior side and the
Sprinting?
exchange side, yeah. 1, 200 long jump and triple jump.
what was your favourite and best?
Triple
Event.
jump and long jump was my favourites. That got me the Queensland side, yeah.
What could you run the 100 in? Best you ever ran the 100 in?
Clocked in America 10.9.
10.9? Yeah, that's not too bad. I probably did 10.8 when I was...
Yeah.
And
When you run on grass and then you run on tartan track, like the tracks they have now, it's just totally different feel. And then the atmosphere. So I think that was half adrenaline and just go for it. Those days, out of the blocks, out of the grass, coming on grass or running on grass, and, it's all technical stuff. Us, we just get on the field and just run.
Yeah.
And that was the case until year 11 and 12 when it got a bit more technical and then the speed came, and the times came down.
So you started at 15. At what age then did you maybe show signs of, hey, I'm probably not too bad at this?
15, I went to a carnival, got picked in the merit side with the relatives. I had a star-studded team with relatives in it, under 15s, my first year, and then under 16 straight, and I got made it to the Queensland side. And then I had an opportunity to come to Brisbane. Yeah, that's one of those decisions. I don't like Broncos, but anyway, I stayed in North Queensland because a lot of good players in North Queensland, and then made Queensland Schoolboys in 91 and Australian Schoolboys from Cairns. So a few other players did that before me, so it can happen because the talent is up there. Talent's everywhere in Queensland.
Yeah.
But
And with the schoolboys, did England come here or did you go over there?
no, we went to England. Yeah, we came to Sydney for a week and trained, and then went to England for roughly a month. 91, so Michael Butner, Kenny Nagas, Sid Domick, Oljanik, a few other players.
I remember you showing us that video. You were skinny, man.
Whip it.
I mean, you're not very tall, but you look like your legs are about 6 foot.
Josado frame, he from Yarrabah too, just quietly. But
And I suppose that's the same with Nagas too. He had that long-legged. Is that just something maybe North
Bundaberg
Queenslanders
boy.
have, that long-legged
Kenny
look?
was Bundaberg boy, so he Queensland too, but he ended up playing for New South Wales. I don't know how that happened. But he went to Canberra.
It's the same as Greg Inglis. Let's not go there.
Invitation to go to Canberra as well, but no one wants to go to a cold place, so Newcastle was definitely the best choice.
It's funny though, because if you were in the Broncos, then I ended up there. Would have been mates earlier.
Yeah.
Well, we met
But it
91.
probably worked out better
we
for
met
you.
91.
Yeah. It's funny you still got all 25 years, or maybe how long it's been?
91.
30 years. So I've known Brett for 30 years.
29,
I first
20,
met him or knew of him in Queensland.
Yeah.
But then to sort of think down the track. And over the years, it's funny, we always met. We met in Fiji in 94.
What was that for?
There was a Sevens tournament over there.
Carnival.
Who was you playing for?
I was at the
Broncos.
Bronx.
Oh, yeah?
He was here in
I
St.
was-
George.
I was in the team
South
too.
came over.
Chalk was there.
Then, then years later, you catch up again. So
Yeah.
it's funny that the thorn,
Yeah.
it's always there. It's a good thorn because we've been mates and brothers for that long. It's
Yeah.
Thorn in the side.
and the conversation certainly changed over the years, but. The
tell you-
love's still there, and it's
Oh, yeah.
being from up home or from Queensland, it's always.
Just a short
always
story
been like
about
that.
Thorn on the side. We were up,
Here we go.
Australia, Queensland Schoolboys selecting. If we won the game, we were going in grand final, rightio. We were up 18-8. Some certain number 7 comes out and just demoralises us. Then is 19-20 or something like that. He kicks it from the sideline. After the siren goes and beats us by 1 point. So we get 1 point for the game. Instead of 2 points, we're going to grand final. 1 point, we play for third.
And they had
That's what you call
And the team
Thorn.
that beat you with that middle halfback, did they end up playing in the final?
No.
We were
Don't
second
know,
last.
That's a thorn on the side.
So did you know each other then in that game?
Oh, well, we did after that.
No.
That was painful.
We knew of Brett. I knew of Brett because the manager for the Queensland Schoolboys was my maths teacher in high school.
Oh, okay.
So he knew who was coming through, who made the Australian
Yeah.
Schoolboys, Queensland Schoolboys, and obviously Brett's name was there and what school he went to.
Now, same as you, question you, Leah. When did you start playing footy and how did your football journey go to get to the Broncos? Oh, and then from the Broncos, just up into the Knights.
Yeah, look, I started when I was 12, but I played soccer before that.
Yeah.
And I thought I probably would play for Man U. But It's funny, you grow up in the world, and what purpose do you play, or what role do you play in your family, in any space? So, growing up with my family, you try to escape. Rugby league became that, and I learnt to play rugby league by watching it on TV. So the objective why you do it. So every Friday night I was watching a game, and I didn't have anyone to sort of teach me the game. I didn't grow up in that environment. My brother-in-law obviously was a good footballer in Cherbourg. Went down and watched him, and then over time you get to play football with your brothers and your brother-in-law, and they teach you how to play the game, how to fall, how to get hit, etc. We're very fortunate enough to have that growing up. Then obviously at school, I played halfback at school, but played fullback locally. So learning the game once again.
I can see you as a fullback.
Yeah, it's fast. Brett's doing, what are you doing, 10-9?
Yeah.
On grass and, synthetic. I'm doing 10-8 on sand. So you compare the speed.
And cat eyes and all those too.
Yeah, like, you got to know how to move. Like,
yeah.
But I thought it might have been getting chased by dogs. To get your speed back in the day, so you make sure you run away from the dogs
chasing,
when they chase you.
Oh, I remember that as a kid, yeah.
Snake,
But
mate.
yeah, so it happened that way, and fortunate enough to be a part of a system where they're bringing young footballers through. Wide Bay, Cherbourg, Morgan, that South Burnett region is sort of isolated in terms of rugby league, Poole, so Brisbane, Mackay, North Queensland, so got all these Rockhampton, that's where they consider the good footballers are, but coming from the bush, coming from Cherbourg, getting the opportunity, then creating a mindset to what you learn, you get the chance to do it, then how you're going to do it. So it was about that. So learning the game technically and physically, and working with and how you control a rugby league team. Going to the Broncos in '93, they won the comp in '92. So you're going to the best team in the world.
And Langer would have been half of it,
Then just they talk about the culture of the club, about working hard, never letting your mate down on the football field. So you sort of get that instilled. You're training hard, you learn the game, and then you're part of, your rugby league journey, I'm guessing. And that year was with, Gwendol was with me at the Broncos that time in '93. Then I had 3 years there at the Bronx, and I'm one of those kids that never made the Queensland or Australian schoolboys. Just sort of tell myself it's all been luck, but your journey, people see what you've done in rugby league. And Cyril Connell, bless him, passed away a few years ago, was the Brisbane Broncos scout. And he saw something there that reminded me when I went to the Bronx about the try I scored against the Peninsula side, which was Brett was playing in a couple of years earlier. And he knew I had all the attributes as a footballer, but how can I make that sustainable in the game of rugby league? And obviously going there, they teach you so much about the game. Then it was all off the field, how you control that as a young bloke. Lucky enough to play 3 years there. I was never going to play first grade there because of Alfie Langer. Yeah. So I ventured to England, had a year and a half in England, playing for the London Broncos in '96.
How'd you go over there? How'd that team go?
Yeah, good. We got beat in the semi-final against St Helens. It was prelim semi-final, so played St Helens, we got beat. Wigan ended up beating Saints in the final.
'96.
Yeah, good year. Coached by Tony Curry, an Aboriginal man, played for Canterbury. Got the Rothman medal back in like 84 something, 83, 84. So once again, you have credibility, you have knowledge around you to make the game for what it is. Heading back to Queensland, I was going to go back to study. Got a phone call from a good friend of mine, Evan Cochran. That played also with us in '97. He and I played in England together in '96, and Brett Kamali just left the club, heading to the Hunter Mariners.
Brett and Craig.
And they didn't have a halfback or second string halfback, and I've always played second fiddle, so it didn't worry me. I love Newcastle as a town, and the people here were amazing. So, Marathon
Had you been
Stadium.
here before that?
Yeah, I travelled down to the Bronx and played at Marathon Stadium. Once again played against Brett, and once again beat Brett. So he's always talking about that thorn, that small gets.
We're going for like
gets
10
bigger.
in a row, 11 in a row. Good side. Oh, we end up winning the comp.
Yeah.
But no.
So you won the comp that year, but every time you played Broncos.
Yeah. So it was 10 in a row. Normal season, no other team did it, and they had to come here and spoil the show. He did it again.
So Evan. But how does Evan Cochran, a player, get you at the Knights?
Well, he got signed here, and then obviously when I said about Brett, he left. Then they need a backup halfback, and they knew I was just in Brisbane.
So did you contact the Knights?
They contacted me. I think it was Dave Morley gave me a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mel.
Like I said,
Mel's
yes.
research. Mel knew what he was getting.
Mel knew about that stuff. You know, once again, it's probably just luck for me. But then another door opens, so it's about opportunity also.
No, I think you made an impression on Mel early on in the piece that year, 96, because he was still in touch with a lot of people in England anyway. And Mel thought it would be a good fit.
I didn't want to say it, but I carved up Castle Footy, used to coach there. I carved them up, and like again, must be just one of those lucky days that happened. I come to Newcastle end of '96. I get reacquainted with Brett, which was really nice. Owie, which I thought Owen Craig was the best schoolboy footballer I've ever seen play the game. And if you take that into playing first grade, then I'm happy to be a part of that.
If Owie, did Owie give? Do you think he give 100% to his football? Like he just seemed, as you said, had so much, and like yourselves, I mean, to only start playing footy at 15, and then yourself playing soccer, and then learning the game through family, and that's just natural talent. But as you say, for someone like yourself, then to come along and say, "Oh, he's one of the best natural talents I've seen," like, how far should that boy have went? Because he didn't make any rep teams at all, did he?
No, he Australian schoolboys 3-time over.
Oh, yeah, he made it in the juniors,
Then coming through, I think 19 New South Wales. An amazing side they had. But once again, he excelled in that. And it's a funny take with Owen. It's one of those things where you know you're that good, you can be complacent in certain areas.
Oh, yeah.
But then having the right guidance with you to say, mate, you can be better than what you are. And we've always said it to him. And then, I guess, as a young man, he's 19, 18, winning the grand final. Then
apparently he was pretty skinny back then, you were telling me. Was he real skinny back then, like when he was 16?
No, but it's like one of those, he's like a man-child. He's always been like a man-child playing footy.
94 kilos, 96 kilos of muscle and speed, and just dangerous.
The agility that he had. But once again, you're trying to guide that. Brett's a year older than me, and we're a few years older than Owie, and that's one of the things. If we can do what we've done, and we can see what you got, he should have at least made New South Wales, State of Origin also.
I thought he would have.
I think two factors. Being Australian schoolboy is not a prerequisite or what the term is into first grade Origin and whatnot. So that the extra work. So school body, school mind, go into first grade mind, strength that you need to apply yourself, and commitment, and then consistency is the big word. So, whether we were subject to that, and then me and Leo, we were vying for a Queensland side that had Langer, all these studs in there, and are we praying for them to get injured? You don't want to do that, but that's the case. You got to extend it. You got put on extended teams. Yeah, you did. We did that, but
talking about that, question for both years.
Leo was really close, 97.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. In 97
Absolutely.
with the year, and because I suppose it was a split comp too, but with the year that the Knights were having and the year that you guys were having individually also, were you approached, because Fatty Vorton coached that year, were you approached, I think, or on a short list, or?
I was.
97 he came in the dressing shed after the Roosters game.
We played against the Roosters round 4, and they had the best side they had all year, and we carved them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I guess when you look at how a team of nobodies, that's where we were. I'm thinking, you know, what we had.
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
Everyone was out. Everyone was out the game. And just, I think, Hertzy, Adam Muir and Dukes, and also Matty Johns were the highlight names. So
Jacko.
we got all these other young fellas in there just playing footy. You know, it wasn't too hard to do. And once again, to show that team up, Fatty comes in, says, "Oh, you're Queenslanders." Brett and myself said, "Yep." And so they looked at it from there. Then throughout the course of that year, I think they had a 22-man squad. Got called back to 17, and I was in that 22-man squad. So
you
could have went either way.
You went to the training session?
No, I don't know.
I thought they did for the 22-man
I
squad.
didn't find out till like 10 years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know that I made that 22-man squad on it.
Because nowadays they'll take the 22 to the training squad.
Oh, you'll have the emerging camps before the year, you know, at the start of the year. That game Leo's talking about is me, Owie, Robbie O and Moods. Jason Moody in there.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have a chat to you about that game later. Boys, I want to ask you look, I played a lot of local footy, you know, watched the NRL from a kid, you know, up until now. But I suppose during the 90s, you know, that's when I was, in my 20s. And, you know, if someone like me, you always watch the TV and you think, oh, man, I wonder what it feels like to be out there, you know, with that crowd, like, you know, 20, 30, 40,000 people cheering, you know, the atmosphere, especially when you've done something well. And, like, just as a spectator, you're like, oh, man. But I don't know if I've ever really spoken or asked someone this question, but what's it like as a player? Not only to be involved in the play, but, you know, to be a part of that. Is it, you know, like, I suppose you got rabbits, you know, commentating, going, yeah, why don't I try? And he adds that whole atmosphere. But is it the same on the field?
Just where you come from, and then who you play for. You can imagine Bronx and Brisbane packing stadium out easy. So that's just massive. But Newcastle's just euphoria. I remember playing my first grade game in reserve grade, and it was chockers.
Yeah.
I ran and just went, what? I said, yeah, more of this, please. And then those games when we got to first grade and then our semi-finals, that's crazy. You can't beat that kind of crowd and support. So adrenaline, pure adrenaline, and then you learn to manage that, then try to perform for 80 minutes. When you're younger, you just go out, and before you know it, half time you're wrecked. Because it's so much adrenaline, you've used all the energy.
Yeah.
It's just that, and that pride too. So I was playing for a team I always wanted to play for, so that was extra pride for me. Crowds do the trick.
Yeah. Something, Brett, you said, like handling it. Did you? How did you respond to it?
Well,
did it affect your game? Like, did it pump you up, or did you just kind of
I lived at Dixon Park. Home games usually Sundays, and I'd go down to the beach and relax. Because if anything broke down on the day, that's on me. So the responsibility was so high. So the crowd, I knew the space, but no, it was all about playing footy. I had to focus on that.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was there. I didn't know how big the crowd was. Because you're so in tune of what you have to do, and if you lost concentration and focus, there's a breakdown. But yeah, and I played in a lot of crowds, and I've been a part of a lot of crowds, but no, I couldn't remember a lot about the crowd, because it's just about, you know. And when you finish the game, obviously how you ended, for us, have been successful in '97, and that's what you're taking after the job's done, and the crowd and the fans for Newcastle over that longevity of time to today has always been very passionate for their team.
Yeah. Let me ask you this also. I'll start with you. Did it ever affect your game? I know you said you were quite in tune, but what about if you knew someone who meant something to you? Maybe it was a family member, or or a girl, or maybe your mates. It's the first time they're coming to watch you play, and they're there at the game. Does that affect you?
No.
Does that get into your mind?
Nah, because it's too much ride on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, after the game, that's when you have your debrief and say thanks for coming, etc. But yeah, it's all about being on song in the game.
Did that ever affect you, knowing if someone was in the crowd the first time watching you?
No. Oh, pride, I guess. I had certain mates that give me grief actually from the stands and outside. I could name them, but I won't. But they're just that's mates. Clean your act up, do a better job, and that's the consistency you're after. I'm very lucky to have the same mates that I have, and then they went through that journey. So you need that same person to tell you the true story, not people just telling you what you think you need to hear and whatever else. But I think just being in that time and that space, it's this great thing to recall in your memories.
Question for both of you. I'll start with you, Brett. Coming from Cairns, and also you said you got mob over Yarrabah and all that, which is even a small Aboriginal community, and those tight knit communities. When you came to Newcastle, did you ever? How did you feel about Newcastle? Did you get a good vibe from it? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Was there any race? Did you feel any racism?
No, straight away. First week, I come down here. Oh, you know what happened is I got here and I got picked up by a friend of mine, Stewie Collins from Australian School Side, and he took me to Durangarling. I walk in there and only Dinah and Ron, bless them. They were first people. I knew exactly who they were because of Ashley. And then I just like, that's the first mob I met when I got here. So I was just like, well, this is meant to be. And then I went to training and people was going, who do you belong to? I'm like, Hillary.
So just for our listeners, Durangarling is boys hostel, and Uncle and Auntie Ronnie Gordon and Di, who passed on, and Ashley Gordon, who was the first Knights player to be signed.
Yeah. So brother man, I met him probably 2 weeks after. I think he was in Penrith and he come back, and we actually went to a debutante ball 2 weeks later, and that's why I met all you fellas. I can say what Edward told me about you, but I won't do that.
Yes, this is PG.
Edward Smith. So
I wasn't.
He was in a band. You're in a band. You're a superstar.
Yeah.
But Anna won mob. So I went to a coaching clinic about 4 weeks later, and people come up and go, who do you belong to? And I'm like, Hillary Grogan. Who's it to Harry? And I said, that's my uncle. That's my dad's brother. Well, he's married to my cousin, Auntie Esther Kim. So I'm at a connection straight there. And then as you grow up, I remember taking Dad to Moree for a knockout, and he rocks up 11:30. A bit wild at him actually. He rocks up with Burnham, bless his soul too. And I'm like, what? Like all these legends. So Dad didn't tell me the story of him knocking around with the people down in Sydney and Newtown and everything else. So I just read, this is the place for me, and that's why I haven't left. I think I've got a connection now, and I'm distantly related to, not you, but a few others. But I'm still here. No, I'll probably live, the rest of the life here, and that's it's a connection.
Well, how was it for you? Like said Cherbourg, then pretty much like Brisbane, but then going overseas and then come to Newcastle. Was there much of a cultural differences here, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Going to England for the first time, you're just a person of the city.
Yeah.
No one takes notice of you.
Yeah.
There's so many people. You can just be yourself, which is really nice and comforting. Growing up in Australia, it's like, it's black and white, it really is. And I've experienced that in Brisbane and in Sydney in particular. So, you get resilient enough, you know your ancestry, you know how it flows, you get knowledge around and education around that. That makes it work for yourself, and you choose and you be wise and you make a stand for what you believe in. That's what makes, I think, a good citizen of any space that you're in. But then being Aboriginal and knowing the history about it, how do you I guess, get yourself through all that. Ancestry, obviously, through me, my parents and my grandparents. And then you see what opportunity that's happened in that time. And for being an Aboriginal man, it's always been an opportunity. I don't fall too much on the trauma side, even though that's happened. And I live in the era. So it happened back then. I live in this space, and how do you shape the future for it? So I've had a really good upbringing culturally, but then I learnt opportunity really early. So that's what I like to have, opportunity.
As I said, it's we're into the year of 25 years. I wanted to ask a question. So during the 97 year, was there any looking at the schedule of 97, Knights, you started kind of up and down, and then you started putting a few things together, a few wins together. Was there any point during 97 where you thought, and this is either yourselves or the team, you thought, yeah, we could go all the way? Brett?
I think it was a gradual thing. To win a comp, you need at least 80% locals, and then there's the other little mixed ones that come in. Really what happened was the game can get really structural, but I think Mel just it's a sense of freedom, and I think that's what Matty and eventually Andrew and then Leo, of course, I think they're very, very happy with it. And I think Chief and our forwards were like willing to put the platform down and allow it. Did we play some games that were just a bit crazy and wild? Yes, we did. But then that sort of got reeled in, and then once we got a routine, I think it was just a routine, and then you got to see where we could perform. As for 97, 96 we won the World Sevens and whatever. So the nucleus of the team was there, just the extra edge players, that bit of spark.
And you won the comp in 95, so you still had that too.
Yeah, reserve coming through, so locals. But when it comes to Manly, if you're asking about Manly, I mean, I think every game we knew we were getting closer. I think we softened them up. We eventually played them 4 times that year.
Yeah, 3 plus the grand final. That's 4. Yeah.
So if you go back and watch the grand final, last tenors, they were wounded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's us bashing them all year. I think I put it down to that, and things just went to, and then supporters, the last 10 minutes of our chant, that just puts us in good place, and things happen.
Leo, I suppose you end up, as you said, you arrive as happily to play the second string half, but you end up playing more than that. And as you said, usually the halfbacks, if they're not controlling, they're the ones that control the team. So with you in the spotlight there a lot, was there a point in time during that year that you thought, yeah, if we could, because there was a lot of injuries on and off that year too, but was there a point where you thought, man, if we could get our team on the paddock, we could do this?
Yeah, we so that year, competing against Manly, the Roosters, Norths, Parramatta.
And Parramatta's been big up for that year too.
And those teams were brilliant. If you look at the names in those teams in that time, and we come
and the Bears, Norths.
Yeah, dark horses for it. Like you couldn't pick it. The first time we beat the Roosters in round 4, I thought, yeah, okay, that's cool. But then I think when we beat Parramatta in Parramatta that day, and we had everyone back on board, working towards the playoffs. So in the first week of the playoffs, Parramatta, I think we played, and they were down 20 points or something. And coming back to win that game, then the belief happened from that. But then after that game, Joey gets injured again.
Oh,
So everything gets thrown in the air.
Can I just add too? It's on the footage. Me, Fatty, and them say that I get up and I score that try. I did miss the ball. Absolutely, I winded myself. I smashed myself, and I said I got up and started jumping around. They're like, "Yeah, I scored it." I got up and just went Adam Muir. I said, "I didn't touch that at all." I'm gonna have to say it to the ref. Adam Muir goes, "Shut up." Nah, yeah, and they jumped around for me. I was gassed. I took all the wind out of me. I missed it by about half a foot. Totally. You could see it on the camera.
I think your finger got to it, bud.
Yeah, my fingernail.
Just a bit.
Yeah, my guitar.
Well, let's just say I've got one more question, and then we're going to go to some video, and that actually might feature.
Oh,
I had a good chuckle to myself last night. So just one more question, probably more towards you, Leo. I suppose we didn't maybe see Andrew Johns at that point as maybe being, they say now he's the greatest. But to come in, and to step into that spotlight or into his shoes and, take over. And he said, like, the responsibility of a halfback. Was there any time, did you feel any pressure like that? Or was it just that you were just having fun and you got an opportunity to play and you were like, okay, let's just go?
That's right.
Yeah.
Opportunity to play. Let's go. Spoke with Mel. The forwards were confident in what I could do. And you've been around the footy a lot. You learn it. And it was about how you can play an expensive game with talent outside you, and you got to go to your strengths.
Yeah.
And our strengths were outside backs. There's no doubt about it. The way we trained, we trained for strength and speed with agility throughout the year. So I knew we had a lot of speed, and our back row was very agile. So you had to move the footy. But when you move the footy, you also move the defence. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
So and then someone's going to get tired somewhere, and you got skillful outside backs. They're gonna score your tries. We had the fastest bloke on a football field, any football field I've ever seen in my life, Darren Albert. So work to the strengths, and you make that happen, and that's all I knew. And in the meantime, my biggest thing was just make sure your defence is in order. So that's what you concentrate about. But look, it's one of those things just happened, and it went so fast, and you sort of only way you sort of live that life again is going through the footage and say, wow, I don't think that happened, but it did.
I remember during that year, because that's when I also got to meet you and you were very quiet. I found you very quiet, and I remember
still quiet.
And I remember having a chat with this fella later. Saying,
Not on the field.
I said, what's Leo like?
Not on the
what's
field.
he like on the field?
You couldn't hear it.
And he goes, he's vicious. I said, what? I said, but he's so quiet. He said, nah. He said, I think he talked about a game. He said, we was all, I think someone scored against us, and the chief, and if anyone knows Paul Aragon, like, he was just a vicious player.
Me and Adam Muir.
But Greg said, nah, Leo'd be there. What are you doing, Chief? And all that. And I was going, sure. He's going, no. He said he just rips into him. Like, was that just you didn't care who it was or who they were? It was just the passion of wanting to win and succeed?
He did that to me in Adam Muir one game, and it felt like I was at an All Blacks carnival or knockout, just abused.
Did you make you feel like you were 18?
I was like, you're in front of 40,000 people and you're doing this in front of me. Lucky they were loud, but I guess they couldn't hear the words. It's like,
do you remember that time? What did he do wrong?
He did something wrong. That's why we growled at him.
I know, that's it.
But look, we were playing a game. You have to be on the song. If I'm on the song, you got to be on the song. Then if they're not doing that, then but it also works because they have a look at themselves and they're accountable too.
Yeah.
So one of the things about was making people accountable.
I suppose with that, Brett, like once the boys kind of got to know what Leo was like, could you tell there was a different atmosphere during the game?
It's a little piece that was like, here, this makes us better.
Yeah.
Because you put yourself on the line and you're willing to say it to anyone, that's a confidence. So it doesn't matter what he said, it didn't affect us.
Yeah.
That just shows that he come into this spot and he's confident to do it. You can't have a timid halfback there. Yeah, it's certainly far from that, wasn't he?
Especially back in those days too, I suppose. Yeah. Like, you could get away with a lot more too.
changed the game, kick and chase. Leo used to kick the ball and get down there before us, and Mal used to go, anyone around there, 4 or 5 years around, these are all fined if Leo makes that tackle. That's it. We were like, oh, okay. So when he kicks,
So you felt like after a while,
we had to get down there.
You
first.
felt like the coach
so if
was
you're gonna,
actually favouring
if he's gonna, yeah, that's what I reckon. Favouring, since you said it. But if he kicks it and you can't use your speed to get down there, then there's something wrong. So that changed halfway through the year. And you know, if we kick to our strength, whichever side, and they're weak, whatever, or we just felt like hitting someone, just keep kicking to them, and we chase and just get into it.
Yeah.
So he changed the game for us.
All right, boys. I spent a little bit of time putting some video evidence.
Video evidence.
Usually people call it something else. I can't even think of the word. But I'd like
memory lane. Right?
I'd like to call it evidence, because evidence of what you did. But I'd actually like to have a chat about some of the things. As I said, like as a, how's that in shot? Is that all right? As I said, as a born and bred, my people are not from here. You know, we come from New England, but I was born and bred here, and even like, doesn't matter if the Knights are having issues or the Jets, you know, anything Newcastle I just love and I'll support. I will admit, probably a few years ago I nearly gave up on the Knights, but but if we can just have a look at this here, and as I said, this is one of those highlights every now and again, because I've got kids at home, and you know, when Brett comes over, they go, Dad, did Uncle Brett really play for the Knights? And I go, yeah, and I'll have to find evidence and that he played. But when I always come to this YouTube clip, so this is the Roosters round 1 and 2, which I've just put together. But if I can just put it on and see how we go.
Hang on with the volume.
Now Lowry again. Busy performance. There's a chance here with speed for McDougall. Elsgood will get him, I think, yes. The pass inside.
The man shake.
Dynevor backed up on the inside. And Newcastle have scored after Sydney.
So even now, I'm like.
You got a smile.
I actually don't think I realised how quick Adam McDougall was. But there he's. It's probably one of the first times.
10 more kilos lighter, he's gone.
Yeah. Here he is.
This is Grogan. A good send with his left hand. Puts him over the line.
That's what I mean, bro. Like, either you wore your shorts really high or you have long legs. You got long, skinny legs. Yeah, I'll put in slow-mo for you,
I got the
hello.
same bent finger, I didn't take care of it.
He does, Leo. He just...
I don't know. Hey, did he fold him over?
Skinny ankles, skinny blackfell ankles. Yeah.
Aerodynamic.
When you watch this, boys, does it seem like yesterday?
Yeah, it does.
You don't see it as often as not, but there you go. Darkies to darkies. Actually, Moody could run too.
Yeah,
He was probably the
That's-
second fastest in. Yeah, Moody could run.
Like, some of the tries you guys did that year
Just look at the players'
were just
faces.
insane, I think. Like, even today, compared to tries, these are still unbelievable. Leo, do you think... You know what I don't see a lot is that. Like, so many times I see the defence run up and there's like a 4-man overlap, but they just kick. Do you think they're too robotic this day and age?
Yeah, they are. What you've seen, I knew was fifth and last. We had a bit of space. I didn't make a chip off his left.
I'm
Next
sorry
minute,
about that.
you
He's actually right-footed.
Yeah.
And he chipped.
No option but to run. With the support outside, they had the overlap, and these hands are just magical. Look at this beautiful stuff there from the Knights. What?
And sometimes you look back and think that, how could they do that?
Yeah.
That's backyard stuff, Larry.
Oh,
You know? Because the skill's always there. So balanced and doing it.
well, that's just backyard
And the other part
blackfellas.
was support play. So
Yeah.
you needed someone inside me. but no one moved, so no one knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Matthew Johns is into space. To the 20-metre line. Muir's there to support.
This is what he said. The Roosters were one of the favourites,
Newcastle queuing
and you guys.
Matthew Johns. Dynevor.
And you got Matty Singh there, and another testament to Andrew Walker.
Yeah.
Ended up being a wonderful footballer over the years too, and Matty.
Jewel, didn't he?
Dual
play
international,
you?
yeah, Andrew.
So round 2,
David Barnes.
8 all. Leo,
Tackle's gone.
Murray.
what, didn't you feel?
They go
I mean,
for a long-range shot. Dynevor. Put the dummy
Look at the
together.
look at the
See
field.
the space.
Yeah.
Craigie gets it back on the inside for Dynevor. Dynevor. He's over the line. Did he get it down? We will wait. We will wait.
4 minutes to go.
Referee gives the try.
It was freezing cold that night too.
12-8.
But I thought that was the winning try, and I kept watching it because it's been so long. And the Roosters score pretty much on the Roosters score on 4
Evan
points.
Cochran's in that game there now too.
Yeah.
He's on the wing.
Yeah. How does it make you feel seeing yourself 25 years ago?
Had hair back then. I didn't get too much about it, but I don't know. It's freaky. You could sort of relive that after all these years. I
When
don't know.
it's exciting football, like everyone wants to go in and pay their money to go watch exciting football. No one doesn't want to go watch structured game.
With it's at the beginning of '97 with the home crowds and the build-up that you guys slowly did. The team, did the crowd? Was there much of a crowd in the beginning of '97, or did it kind of start big from the? And
Yeah, no, always been a healthy crowd there at the stadium.
Yeah, we
Even when we played Norths on that rainy day,
yeah.
like they just love Newcastle Knights or anything sporty. You know, we were just fortunate enough to play well.
Our trials went well
Mostly.
too, so crowd would come up.
Yeah, we trialled against the Roosters there at Marathon Stadium too that year.
yeah. So what I've done now is I've actually jumped ahead to the first semi-finals, as you said. But I've come in when the score is I think 18,
Is it 20?
18 or 20 nil.
18-0 Parramatta.
Yeah, and that was after only 22 minutes. What were you singing at that point? Do you remember that? Like down 3 tries, Parramatta's just come out and blown you out of the water. Were you thinking, oh, damn, this is going to be what you know when you just play footy and it doesn't matter how hard you try, nothing goes right?
Yeah.
Or was it just too early?
They controlled the ball well. We just knew that.
I don't think we had the footy
fair share. If we had
in
our
that
fair
time,
share.
so they always had the footy, so that they control it really well. And we never had no football at all. And when you get the chance to play footy with the calibre of players that we had, you know what happens then.
It's one of those games. There's a couple of ex-players in there, so it was going to be physical. It was a solid game.
So I'll just
And you don't panic. There's no panic in the team. Just because you're down 18-0 after 22 minutes, but you had no footy. So the momentum does change. And it's a funny thing they talk about momentum on a football field, that you don't know when it's going to happen. They drop a ball 20 metres out, that's a change of it.
Yeah.
So you got to make the most of it. So that's what happens at this part here.
So I'll just press. We'll see how we.
Jared McCracken, 15 metres out. Last play, Andrew John stepping.
So was you on the bench for this game?
Yeah.
Davis, then Muir. Muir looking to pass on the spin. It comes back for Craigie. A metre out from the line, and that is a Newcastle.
Wasn't the best of tries, but I said it. I suppose it's something that just added a bit of momentum.
Started it off.
So 18.
Brought up now by Harrigan. Good tackle from Raper. Front on Paul Harrigan. Matthew Johns finds Peter. Peter on the inside run. Inside the Eels 20.
He was a good player, wasn't he? Billy Jean.
Oh, awesome.
Just a workhorse.
So you got 4 minutes later, you scored 2 tries in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's that momentum swing.
Pumped.
He fell off in the tackle, but
That's 18-10.
Now Matthew Johns, can they stretch the Eels? It comes wide for Craigie. He's got Peter on his outside. Then McDougall. McDougall is over for the night.
There you go. So 3 tries in, 13 minutes. So then it's back to even 18, 16, 18, 14.
I think that's the thing that surprised me last night was 6 tries were scored in the first half.
Yeah.
I think this is the
Brett Braden side?
Oh no, this is
Johnsy's try.
Joey's
this is where
He gets pumped here.
I think this is where the rib injury happened.
knees into the ribs.
I think I honestly believe players purposely do that.
Jason Smith.
I wanted to ask, how did this fella get the kick?
He kicked Younger. He did
20
everything.
all.
He did everything.
He's got 12 more points in his career than Billy Clayton has.
Because Billy Peden took the kick at Johnsy's try. Oh, it's something. That was a penalty there.
That's no practice too.
Yeah.
No practice.
No practice. Straight through.
And they were kicking with sand back then, mate. We were.
Yeah, that's right. Kicking the
Was that
sand.
sand?
Kicking teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Just behind the play, the ball. The kicker ricochet.
Yeah, see the movement?
Grogan.
See the move?
If you see the movement on it, if you're able to go back, I'll probably show it.
I don't know.
Trust me,
Maybe I was in pain then.
I let the replays come out a few times. See, the line says the Newcastle fella touched it.
Sometimes you think, hey, how much they pay those
I missed
touches.
that totally. You want look? Yeah.
Yeah.
You watch me? I shake my head here. I'm like, nah, man, I didn't touch that.
Doesn't matter though, hey? Just take it.
Listen to Fatty. Listen what he says now.
See the movement? There.
Oh, see, I mean, I think you did touch it.
You did
Did you touch
touch
it?
it, Look there, mate, you
Now
touched it.
I think this angle here shows it. I think this angle
I don't
here.
know. Maybe.
Absolutely no way he's got his hand in this. No way.
Yes.
That's it, still.
like,
Like, it's
come on,
stuck
what's
into him.
And that's the luck you need on the footy field though too.
The whole planet.
But that game, that was the first semi, and then you went on to
Here we go.
to North.
And this is a prelim final.
Yeah. But first, I want to talk about. I've done this twice. This one and for the Manly, but I think it was early in the game. But on watching this on TV, I remember just thinking, "Oh, that's probably one of the greatest things I've seen." What was it like being there? And the tackle I'm talking about is this one.
Here it is with Matthew Johns, the high ball again. Matt Sears is going back. Now this time the chasers are onside. Batted back there by McDougall. North Sydney come up with the ball. Nigel Roy. Well, there was a chance if someone was battling through for the Knights. And Taylor, counter-attack for the Bears. Butner on the outside with Taylor. Then back inside for Sears. Dynevor gets across. So to O'Davis. Sears is through. 20 minutes
The thoroughbred.
How does that happen?
That's too fast.
And it's funny because I've actually asked him about it.
Yeah.
What do you think? He says, I'll just trail in the background. And good wingers do that because the footy goes out, you have to come across the cover. So that's what he was doing. So it's just there. Then next minute, you know it, Matty takes off. And, well, when we're doing it, Robbie Davis says to me, looks at me and says, my fault. Because we both miss him.
I know.
I'm there, he's there.
Yeah.
So he blames me, it's my fault. I'm getting up. I just stood up. Robbie, the competitor that he is, he gets up, he jogs back. And Albie comes from nowhere.
Yeah. And it shows that he did not get it down.
Oh,
No way.
So, Lau, did you start this game?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Because the week before, Joe was out again still.
Yeah. So you guys were up 12-8, but this is the try that brought Norths back into 12 all.
Yeah, played footy with
And
Michael.
5 minutes remaining. Can you kind of remember back then, like
Yeah.
maybe what was going through your head?
Well, 12 all. I'm surprised. Jason Taylor missed all the kicks.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah. And he's
he's a accomplished
one of the
kicker.
greatest kickers.
Yeah, so he missed 3. So
Poor
he
fella.
must have got nervous. You know, it showed over time when Jason did play that he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
The tough situations.
He got
no
bad.
disrespect to
He got
Jason.
Oh,
but
no.
He should
got
never miss
bashed.
those goals like, ever.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to.
And then what we were looking for was trying to get close to the post for a field goal.
And you give Matty a good ball there.
And that's in the rain too.
Yeah.
And he hits that there, but it's not over yet because they're a chance of scoring.
Now this is the try that I always just think of Skippy. Just
Yeah, but
What was the Chief thinking here?
Look at
Why
Chief.
didn't the
Yeah.
Chief just go down?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Chiefs thought, nah.
But
No,
then again, I
I wanna
can't.
score.
I can't just say why didn't the Chief go down. Why did you then throw it?
When you
One.
beat them, mate, you got to beat them well. That you just rub it in.
Yeah.
But no, it's how we've always been. There's an opportunity to score
I
time.
didn't go down, but I'll jump around in the living room and I broke the fan
So you had just injured your ankle or something?
that game before.
The game before against Para?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
This
No,
was-
against Manly, you hurt your ankle.
Manly, yeah, against Manly.
Was it?
That's it.
Yeah.
This is not a part of the grand final, but this is something that happened that year. And I remember watching this game, and even my ribs buckled. And I think, Leo, you were in this game. I think I see you, Leo.
Oh, this is Mark
Yeah,
Glenville.
Mark Glenville.
Yeah. Were you there, Grogs?
No.
Did you see it, Leo? Because I see you coming
I come back
running this way.
I did look
He
back.
dizzy too, Mark. He hit the ground though. It wasn't from the hit.
I just wanted to say, like,
That's just
when
moving.
you see big hits on the field, but I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, that's moving organs. That's
Amazing
moving organ around.
unsung hero. Too. They talk about the front row and all that sort of stuff with Butsy
He,
and Chief, but
he got up there.
MG certainly
yeah.
held his own.
The week leading up to the grand final, look, not many blackfellas, I suppose, get to experience playing NRL and then having the opportunity to actually play in an NRL grand final. And then, as we all know, the week leading up to the grand final, I heard, I think Paul Harrigan saying years ago, that Mal Riley, the coach, wanted to take his out in Newcastle for the whole week, so the pressure and the atmosphere wouldn't affect his. But Paul Harrigan said, no, let's stay in Newcastle and absorb it. What was that week leading up like? Because I remember seeing on the news, I think you were out at Stockland, at Jesmond,
Oh, we just trained. Oh, yeah.
and like the crowds and everything. Like, did you feel like experiencing all those crowds and everybody just, because this was the first time for Newcastle, we'd only been in the comp maybe 10 years, I don't know. Yeah,
10
it wasn't
years.
very long, so
10
it was
years, 10 years.
still
Right on
new
10.
and fresh for us all. What was that build-up like for that week?
I don't know if Mel did say that, to tell you the truth. I think we let it ride, and Chief and everyone wanted it. We quickly found out when we were on a roll that the community and the way they supported us during the year, just the best to do it. We just trained different, because everyone would come to the stadium and be packed and everything else. So we trained at Stockton and around out of the places. But we did all the events, I think we did all the events, that kind of exposure. But after Wednesday, the doors were closed, sort of thing. But I don't know, they'd be
Then we
stronger.
had to go down, so we went down to Sydney
They'd be stronger.
for the breakfast. I think that was a Thursday morning.
Yep.
So we went down Wednesday afternoon, stayed over, we went to brekkie, grand final breakfast the next day, then Friday and Saturday obviously just chilled.
But you came back to
Yeah.
Newcastle. Where did you, because the bus ride, where did that start from? To go down to the game?
From the stadium, I think we
Yeah.
jumped on the stadium, at the stadium.
Oh, it started in the first games, every weekend, the semi-finals and everything. They came down
But
every
for that
weekend.
grand final day, because the crowd, so was it like the crowd was just all along the highway pretty much from...
We left Saturday.
We left on the Saturday. We
Yeah.
got greeted heading out from the stadium.
Yeah.
All the way down to Gosford
There
on
was
the
crowd.
Saturday. There was people parked on the side where we
Side of
drove
the
down.
road, overpass.
Did you see much news like the house not far from, they painted their house red and blue.
Lantern. Oh,
And there was
Broadmeadow.
beer, red and blue beer and red and blue cupcakes.
Pies and everything
Yeah,
red and
Cream
blue.
buns, cream buns.
Did you get to see a lot of that on the news or hear about it? Or were you kind of, as you said, kind of just focused?
I was too focused. One of the things about that, you don't play the game before you get there.
Yeah.
Cruisy.
And then it just a casual week. It really was, because you couldn't get any fitter. So you had to make sure that when the time came around, the
Yeah.
mindset was intact. So, then the trip down, and then the highlight was the night before. You're sitting around the room and people have their conversations and words about how they feel about being part of the team. And tomorrow's a grand final. You get an opportunity to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
What are you going to bring to the game? And it was emotional, and basically it was about how you're going to go out there, you're going to die to win the game for Newcastle. And it wasn't individuals, it was about the town and about the region. So the ultimate you can do for any footy fan, any fan that you have out there is to you play for them. And it was based around that. And Chief obviously being a local fella and, the captain of the side, and then all the other local guys that grew up here in Newcastle. And the ones that, Robbie O and Brett obviously been here for a good while. Then you get this cluster of men who want to die for their team to win a grand final. And how do you do that? You got to put your body on the line, and everyone spoke about that
I think
the
it's
night before.
10 years for coming into the comp. I think it was 10 years when Steelworks closed down, and then a couple of years because of the earthquake. So those three things, and when Chief was saying that, we were all like grown men, just like, whoa, this is strong. It was Saturday night was real solid. Yeah, we were prepared.
I think what you're saying there is right, because as a spectator, it's like he's just never. It's like the boys just never stopped and never gave up. Well, you can kind of see, and maybe it's like you're saying, Brett, there before, like in that last 10 minutes, you could just see him slowly starting to fade, and maybe it was because, even with 10 minutes to go with the game there was still some big hits from the boys. We'll just watch the highlights of the grand final, and then might finish off with a couple more questions. Now you guys are on the sideline of this.
Yes.
What was this like? Watching the Chief. He just came out.
Yeah.
Well, he puts you in the game.
Yeah.
So even though we're on the bench, but stuff like that really puts you in the game. You can't wait to get out there.
Got it nicely. And Shannon Nevin.
Shouldn't Nevin have a son that plays now?
I'm not sure.
For sure.
I mean, there's someone that looks like. How Tuvey got back on in this day and age? He wouldn't be back on, would he?
One of the tough footballers of rugby league, pound for pound. That's all.
Solid football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10-0 down. Like, wow.
Look at the crowd too. Fair dinkum.
I think that was the thing too. Because usually most teams, if they're 10-0 down, would go for a try, but
Sweet.
what's that? 10-8.
10-8. Up 36.
What was Cliffy Lyons like to play against? Was he hard?
Menace.
He just didn't know what to do. He was going to do.
Just
It's
a
tricky.
menace.
It's
Just
really
a
tricky.
menace.
And the games we played against Cliff, because he's got the wonderful drift across the field. When we said let him run across, could you come out? He's going to burn you. And that try he just set up for Shannon, you can't catch stuff like that. And it was really difficult.
No.
But yeah, tricky back to play against.
That would have.
Missed it. See?
That's talking about the Indige flavour of that year. Moody and Robbie O was a big part of that also.
True.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get together and say, send it out to the black line, or did you ever make up little things like that with the boys?
Between us, yeah. Little Elby was hanging around us too, so I was like, yeah, whatever, a little talk. But
I remember I was at my parents' house and somehow I was up jumping up and down, screaming. Yeah.
look at that crowd. That's great. That's Newcastle. That's crazy. The Chief going off with it.
I suppose a few more questions. I'll talk about the game first. I might actually first, Leo, playing such a big role that you did. I said, Johnsy, what was he, probably 50, 60? No, you would have been more than that, maybe 60, 65% out of the year. maybe out of the year, and you stepped in, and not only did you step in, you stepped up, and without your leadership and that we talked about earlier, and the passion of wanting to win and drive, and it pretty much got the Knights there. I don't know if you've ever been asked, but how did it feel not to play in that game?
Yeah, I was really disappointed. My family travelled down from Cherbourg.
Yeah.
It's like everything that I ever knew about rugby league and what I've been through in my life, I couldn't wait to play.
Yeah.
No one would ever see that I would have scored 3 tries and got man of match, because that's the mindset was like that. I would have been everywhere.
Kicker from the sideline.
But then
Was you even on the bench?
Yeah, I was on the bench. And the realisation was that, like everything is, I would have been really, really pissed if we lost.
Yeah.
But winning it with the team that we had in the circumstance, it wasn't too harsh. I accepted that fate.
Yeah.
Of not being able to play that grand final day. We won, and we the team won. There was no individual that won it.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that.
I think you can see that in you. Like, if you've watched the highlights after the game, the team celebration and that, and for both of yous, you're singing the team song, you're hugging people in the crowds. So I'm glad to hear that, bro. Yeah, Brett, yourself, because you was in the team 2 weeks before, until you got injured. So you would have been injury free. You would have been in that game.
I was alright. I'd probably risk,
So your ankle was what?
That was good.
80%?
I warmed up, did everything to the best of ability after 2 weeks, doing the best you can. Whether it would have been good to play early, if then get injured, those things go through your mind. But coach got to make a decision. There's a risk factor there, and this game was going to be violent, if you want to call it that, and would have held up. And then they have less reserve, to mess around with.
Yeah, because we can only use 4 back then.
Yeah. So
and that was for the whole game. So if you sub, that was it. You couldn't go back on. So they can use 4.
At one point there, I thought he was going on, and I was very happy to do it. I knew half time I wasn't going on.
I made the sideline.
Did you?
Yeah.
And who was you going to go on for?
Joe was going to come off.
Because he got a hit.
Yeah,
He took another hit or
he got
something.
another hit. Then
They put Jacko on.
Mel said, "Wait, just wait." Then Joe went back on.
England connection.
Then the adrenaline rush through. But look,
Yeah.
like you said, the coach makes the decision around that, and all you got to do is got to live by it. The best thing about it is that we won.
Yeah.
If we had lost, I'm really, really, really pissed over it. But because you think you can make a difference.
Yeah.
And I certainly would have thought I would have made a difference than Jacko.
I reckon if you went on,
that's the decision they
we
made.
scored a couple of tries.
Where was Moody? How come he was?
He was on the bench
considered?
too. I
Because
think
he had a
Gids.
pretty good year. Because that was his come out year too, wasn't it? First time.
Moods. I think he was on the bench too, and Gidley, a few others on the bench there.
Come back to Newcastle. You're in the bus. I remember I was out at Toronto, and my older brother was there, and I said, bro, let's just go into the works club. I reckon they'll show up there. Talking about you guys. And I was showing up. I was lucky to get a park pretty close, and I've walked around the corner, and there was just hundreds of people everywhere. And I'm just going, holy crap. And there was like the chanting and the amount of people was like even I all of a sudden, I was like as you know, I can be quite silly, but out in public I'm a little bit, but even I was like, yeah, come on. Standing on whatever I could to, and then all of us, by the time you guys actually showed up, there was just thousands of people. Did you, two-part, did you know there was going to be that many people there? And once you did see it, how did it feel, Brett?
Oh, when we come off the freeway that last roundabout, and they were across the road where Walls End touch fields, we're just like, this is going to be crazy. We won't even get in there. It'll take us another hour to get in there. Yeah, it took us probably an hour to get in
From
there.
Wall's End?
Yeah, I reckon. Because we stopped there. Jasmine. Definitely Beaumont Street.
Then went back to the stadium.
Yeah, and then we
Back
had
at the stadium?
Yeah, we crawled in and they had to unload the bus. So
extras were on there.
Yeah.
And extras was on there.
The bus.
And then
Grand final. First time winning the grand final. Look, we still got to pull up for petrol.
And then we had to
get
go
some snacks.
Hunter Street, dragged along and then turn around and come back up King Street.
yeah, and I was
lot
cause
of
my
humans
family came
everywhere.
down. I was looking after them before they was going to drive back home. And my brother's a big Knights fan. He wanted to stay, do the week. But I think on the Wednesday of that week, I was travelling to America.
Go for holidays. Sweet.
Yeah. So that Sunday night was, I don't know, it was different for me.
Yeah.
I didn't celebrate hard like the other team.
I had to drop little one of them on a plane that morning, so I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, but then I see the footage on it, and how it was packed and packed inside also.
Oh, so you went on the bus when it came back?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I think I got it at the stadium.
Oh,
When I
and
said they
you got off
offloaded
there.
people, they offloaded me. So I decided to go and look after my family first. Then rocked up later, but seen the footage about everyone and introducing a team to the crowd that was there, obviously to watch the grand final previous. But but couldn't imagine that so much people would rock up like, I don't know, rock stars.
Oh,
It was that feeling, that the energy, the laughter, the relief,
And then what was it like?
jubilation, everything.
Was it a week later where the big grand parade?
Tuesday.
It was on the Tuesday.
Or was it?
Yeah. So you got to get your Mad Monday in too.
Yeah.
So the Mad Monday was all about the boys who probably haven't slept, but it was about doing that. Thanks, brother. Deadly year. I'm so proud, so happy. So it was touching that way because you speak on a Saturday, you get the job done, and on a Monday you're having a lot of lemonades that taste really good. And a lot of laughter and silly talk, which is really nice because sometimes you learn people when they're like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't, and sometimes you never usually talk to them all year. But it was just wonderful to have that space on the Monday. And then the Tuesday, they got up again and we did the big parade in the town from Jasmine, coming down through down Beaumont Street.
It started at Jasmine.
Yeah.
Stockland.
Yeah. What was it like getting up on the balcony of Town Hall, Brett? Because I don't know how many people. Do you remember what they said, how many people were there? Like it had...
33,
had
something
to be
like that. It could have been, but when you see the park, every grass was taken up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Jasmine was, when you come from Wall's End, you're at the top of the lights. There was just people there all the way, just going around the corner to the roundabout, just across the road. Just people everywhere. So police had to come and move them aside just to get the bus through. There was probably 10,000 just there at Jasmine.
What was your thoughts up there?
Didn't think of anything.
Beaumont Street.
This is it. We shared the convertible Saab.
Oh,
back
yeah,
then.
did you?
So
Okay,
Brett and I
yeah.
were sitting there, and it's,
200 car.
we're looking at each other thinking, how mad is this? You go, there's people everywhere.
Hamilton.
But then I think it was once again the appreciation from the city, the Knights supporters, people of Newcastle, and we get to be a part of that, and they appreciate what we did.
Probably just my last question. Did you stage dive off with the Screaming Jets?
No.
Were you up on the stage?
No.
It's not my gig.
No. I don't mind their songs, but, if it was Midnight Oil, it might have been a different thing.
Yeah. Hey, colours. I'll hit the ground for sure. No, it's not happening.
Look, it was that packed. There was no way you were hitting the floor.
Screaming Jets, they were going off.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was the other band.
Anything you want to say
Newcastle
before we
band.
wrap up? What's your finest memory of that year? I know there's a lot, as you said, like we've talked about coming to Newcastle, catching up with old thorns, meeting new thorns. Same for you, Brett. The highlights of playing together, and then getting to where you did and what you were a part of and what you achieved. And, then the celebrations, as I said, that was just crazy, chaotic, in a good way. So is there anything as I said, it's been 25 years, but when you reminisce, is there one point or one thing you ever think about?
Just pride, but a lot of laughter, and you take the people on the journey. Tell you the truth, I'm not the type of person where it should happen the following year and it should have happened the following year. We should have been able to be kept together. If we were able to keep together, we would have built something really. I'll just put it this way: we nearly did it the following year, but if we had Leo in it, we do it. We went back to backs, and we give a shot at Broncos. The real winners of both comps.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's my third stint back to Newcastle. And it's sort of meant to be here, and I came back here last year, and this year I lived a 25-year anniversary of what happened back then. It's just nice to see blokes around. I don't like to talk a lot of footy because it happened back in that time. You sort of want to move on to something else, but then I'm going to coach an under-16 side this year. So it's about getting the credibility around the knowledge of football again so that they understand it, and the only way they know they've done it is to relive the highlights. But so you're giving them a different angle. But yeah, look, I loved every moment, the town, the players, and the supporters, and you meet people on the street. It's funny enough, a bloke come round home, putting a couple of gas bottles, and his mum's the biggest fan. Gets go to all the games and relives all the old highlights games. And I said, "What's her name? Give her a number, and I'll ring up and say good day." And so it's nice you can have that day. And the kids say, "Look, I was only 10 when that happened." Blah blah blah. And, but it happened a long time ago.
Maybe 35 now.
So no, it's nice to meet people that you haven't met. But remember the game of rugby.
Well, boys. Thank you very much for coming on today. I can say as a community member and as a supporter watching that I don't know if you've ever been told, but having yourselves and Owen, Robbie Owen and Jace Moody and having that large Aboriginal contingency in the Knights, it also made the community feel a lot more part of the Knights, but also it made us feel proud. So thanks for all that. I mean, all that hard work, and I know time, I can look at both of you now, and time hasn't been kind to you, but no, but I
walk down the street and get called Leo now.
I don't know how. You've always been taller.
Anyway.
But thank you very much for coming on today, and thank you.
Thank you, brother.
No worries, brother.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey.
Cool.
Ta.
We'll have to do it again, maybe with Owie next time, eh?
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Leo. Good luck. Coming into my life, Leo.